This original WSRE presentation is made possible by viewers like you. Thank you.
The author of the iconic book Dead Man Walking, Sister Helen Prejean, on this edition of Conversations. In the early 1980s, Sister Helen Prejean began a prison ministry in Louisiana, an act that would be the genesis to her becoming a crusader against the death penalty. Her experience caused her to write the international bestseller Dead Man Walking, which would eventually be made into a movie by the same name. Actress Susan Sarandon won an Oscar for her role as Sister Helen. In addition to the movie, the compelling story has been made into an opera. In late 2004, Sister Helen published her second book entitled The Death of Innocence, an eyewitness account of wrongful executions. These days, Sister Helen travels the world campaigning against the death penalty. We're pleased to have her on this edition of Conversations. Thank you so much for being with us.
It's great to be here, Jeff.
Tell me about the book. How did it come about, Dead Man Walking?
Well, it got leached out of me. I never dreamed I was going to write a book. English major. Taught 7th and 8th grade and high school English. I always loved the language. My father was great with words too. As a young boy, he lived on a plantation, and every day he would take one page of the dictionary and learn the words. So word play at the table, words,
right.
Always a big thing, and then to major in English. So, but what happened is I had these experiences that, well, the first part of Dead Man Walking is about awakening to the deeper, more radical call of the gospel. Because there's a lot of ways to live Christianity, you know, to be charitable, to be kind, but justice for poor people, it never really sparked passion in my soul. But I awakened to that, and that led me to move out of the suburbs, where I'd always been working as a nun, into the inner city, into the St. Thomas housing projects, where African American people really became my teachers about the other America, because I'd grown up in privilege, and in white privilege to boot. My daddy was a successful lawyer. So while I'm in the neighborhood and learning about, all the rules were different. Everybody had somebody in prison. The schools were terrible. People were coming in who had dropped out of high school, juniors in high school, couldn't read a 3rd grade reader. And so I'm immersed in that. And one day, coming out of the Adult Learning Center, a friend of mine who worked in the Louisiana Prison Coalition office asked me if I wanted to write a letter to somebody on death row. And I said, yeah, sure, I could do that, you know. Was an English major, maybe send a poem or two.
Sure.
I never dreamed they were going to kill him. I never dreamed that he'd be executed or that I would be with him during the execution. But it all got ratcheted up, and his name is Patrick Sonnier. He's the first story in Dead Man Walking. And so the story of Dead Man Walking, the story of the opera, the story of the movie, when I go out and give talks, I just bring people with me through the experiences I had, because I knew nothing. I knew nothing about how the courts work. I knew nothing about victims' families, what they went through. I knew absolutely. Tim Robbins loves to describe me in the story when he did the film, and the nun was in over her head, and truly I was. So after the execution of Patrick Sonnier, I had made a big mistake, and the big mistake I made in the beginning was I got so caught up in his human rights and that the state should not be executing human beings that I didn't know what to do with the victims' families. A young boy and girl had been killed by Patrick Sonnier and his brother Eddie. David LeBlanc was just 17 years old. Loretta Bork, 18. And I thought, well, I'm the spiritual advisor to the man who killed their children. They're not going to want to see me. I'm the last person in the world, because they put you on a seesaw. In other words, if you're against the execution, then you're against us. You can't have it both ways. And that comes out in the opera of Dead Man Walking. It's him or us. It's right or wrong. It can't be on both sides, you know, of it. So I avoided them. I had a wonderful editor when I did write the book, Dead Man Walking. Jason Epstein was the managing editor at Random House, big publishing. All this is God's providence, I call it, because I know nothing. But he helped me shape the story of Dead Man Walking. And when he looked at the first draft of Dead Man Walking, he said, well, Helen, you're really downplaying this thing of not reaching out to the victims. That was a big mistake. And I went, well, yeah, I just had never done it before. And he said, look, you want to really face that squarely. And when you tell the story, bring your reader with you into your mistakes. Don't just go on the peaks of the waves where you did everything right. Take them with you into the mistakes you made, because then they're going to trust you, because that's human. And so I did. And it comes out really strongly in the opera, because they have the family singing, not a crumb from you. All you care about is that murderer. We haven't heard from you. And I'm just in there going, I'm sorry, I'm sorry. And one of the victims' family says, sister, you say that a lot. I think it's because you're way out of line. You don't care about us, you know, and the whole thing. So Jason helped me shape the story, and that's a big part. My image of the whole issue is, when you think of both arms of a cross, it stretches us, because when we are with victims who have lost their child out of this wanton, cruel act, and we all have our hearts to deal with, and it's just like, if somebody killed my child, somebody killed my mother, I'd want to see them dead. Bring it on. And that's where most victims' families do, in fact, start. Not all, but most. That's a starting point. And I've come to learn how in trauma they are, how shocked they are, how one moment seeing their child alive, and then they go out the door and they never see him alive again. When human beings are traumatized, and then, of course, when you're in a state, Louisiana, Florida, Texas, and politically, it's really a good thing to be for the death penalty. You get reelected when you're really tough on crime. And I've learned this, and that then this family, some of them, then has the prosecutor coming, that we want to honor your dead child, so we're going to seek the ultimate justice. And they go, yeah, bring it on. And if you've ever been to a death penalty trial, the playing up and the holding the jury look at that family, we must do justice for that family. So when I get involved with the death penalty in the beginning, I mean, I think it was 85% in the 80s in Louisiana, 85% support. People just go, yeah, of course that's what we have to do. These people did terrible crimes. What I learned as I wrote the book, what people don't know, is it all depends on who the victim is, whether or not you seek the death penalty. And there are many people in families that are killed, and the ultimate penalty is never sought. In fact, it's not even vigorously prosecuted.
How come?
It has a lot to do with race. That if you look on death row, 3,000 people across the United States, southern states and other states, almost the starting point for all of them is, did you kill a white person? 8 out of every 10, it's because there's a white victim. And it's not to say that white people, it's okay if you kill them, but it's just that if you're not outraged over the death of a person, if you can't identify with the victim, then you don't have the same desire to seek the ultimate penalty, to go through the appeals and all that. And overwhelmingly, our criminal justice system is predominantly white. Judges, prosecutors, often jurors, most people in the court system. Now, I don't know any of this when I get involved with the death penalty. I think, well, if you look on death row, it's about close to 50-50, black and white, but that's a disproportionate number of people of color. The more we're finding out about the whole penal system, especially in the South, the penal system is tougher than any other state, because you have this, we're needing people to work, that we are used to have the slaves. Now, it's not to say that black people never do terrible crimes. Of course they do. But boy, when it comes to punishment, when it comes to vigorous prosecution, when it comes to going for the ultimate penalty. So that's just one of the things I learned along the way. But the deepest spiritual journey then was being caught, meeting these families, finally being with them.
The victims' families.
And the hero, the victims' families. The hero of Dead Man Walking is Lloyd LeBlanc and his wife Eula. Their son David, 17, a beautiful kid. When he was killed and the sheriffs went to the school to talk to all their his classmates, no one could think why David LeBlanc would be killed. I mean, he was just such a great kid. And so here they lose their son. And see, because I had done it wrong and I hadn't reached out to them, I met them at the worst possible time you could meet a victim's family. And when would that be? When are the sides most polarized? It's when you come to a public meeting of the pardon board hearing, where it's the last legal hoop for the family to pass through. These 5 appointees in Louisiana of the governor, whether or not they will give clemency or not, and all the victim's family is there. I describe all this in the book. It's all just coming right out of the experience. And I'm one with only 3 people at the pardon board to ask them not to execute Patrick Sonnier. And that's when I met the victim's family. It couldn't have been worse. They're there with all their friends, their relatives. They packed the room. The prosecutor told them, pack that room. You let those people know you want to see justice for your dead child. Don't you let them get off the hook. And we were walking outside the building while the pardon board was voting, and I rounded a corner and I ran right into the victim's family. The young girl who had been killed was Loretta Bourke and her mother and father. And right behind them were David's mother and father, Lloyd LeBlanc and his wife. And I ran right into them. And the Bourkes were furious at me. And I deserved it. I hadn't done anything to reach out to them. So they just averted their gaze and walked past me in silence. And right behind me are David's parents. And I expected the same thing. You know, I call it surprise by grace. We never know with individual human beings how they're going to respond. And Lloyd LeBlanc walked right up to me with his wife. He said, Sister Helen, I'm Lloyd LeBlanc. This is my wife, Eula. We're David's mom and daddy's sister. All this time, you've been visiting with Pat Sonnier and his brother, and you never once came to see us. You can't believe the pressure we're under with this death penalty. And then he invited me to come and pray with him in this little chapel. And then he was the first victim's family that really taught me, brought me into what they go through, of this loss, this rage, this wanting to get even, this I'll do anything. And the sorrow that he had too, because he almost lost his wife Eula, who almost died from grief at the loss of her son. I'd never been in suffering like this with people. So it was all learning, and learning from people who were so courageous. So I call Lloyd LeBlanc the hero of Dead Man Walking because he took me through his journey of how you could lose your precious son, almost lose your wife, and he could make his way out of that so that he didn't give in to the feelings of despair and revenge. And the way he put it, Cajun man, lived out in St. Martinville, Louisiana. And he said, Sister, I've been praying on this. I've been asking Jesus to help me because I know Jesus doesn't want us to be for the death penalty. I know that's not Jesus. I know that's not what he wants me to do. But here's how I figured it. I was angry all the time. I was upset all the time. All I could think was killing them. And then finally I just came to it and I said, you know what? They killed my son, but I'm not going to let them kill me. I'm going to do what Jesus said. And he set his face to go down a path of forgiveness.
Do you find a lot of victims' families are that way?
More and more now.
Really?
It's everyone's traumatized at a
Sure.
death. A lot has to do with what's the signal they get from the prosecutor's office when they're in that trauma and that grief. Now, not every family by any means, and most families, in fact, get divided down the middle. I mean, if we think of our last Thanksgiving Day dinner, who agreed on anything about anything? And the death penalty is really no exception. So you have some in the family that want it, some that don't. And that can tear a family apart even more. And then, where we are now with the death penalty, this is 30-something years later since I've been involved with the issue and educating the public. Like when New Jersey, the legislature did away with the death penalty 10 years ago, 62 murder victims' families testified saying, "Don't kill for us." And the reason they gave was, it's going to take so long, we're going to be waiting, you're going to promise us this justice, that you'll summon us when it's time for the execution and we'll get to be witnesses. But all this time we're waiting for this closure, this healing, that never happens. So it re-victimizes us, and more, this is where we are. And the public has been growing in our understanding of how selective the death penalty is, how expensive it is, how only some people get it, and that now the majority of Americans, and I would guess maybe in Florida too, I haven't been keeping up with Florida that much, but in Louisiana and other states, that they would prefer life without parole and just not go through the whole thing. With often doesn't happen anyway, and a lot of the cases get overthrown because there wasn't good defense at trial, due process wasn't done, and you got to go back and start the process over anyway.
What was it like for you? I know you've been through several executions.
6.
6. What is that like?
Why? Jeff, that's like nothing else. In one way, Susan Sarandon, when we were doing the film and we were in the death house, she kept saying, "This is so surreal," because there's an aspect about it that just doesn't feel like reality, because it's a scripted death. And you're going through all the protocol, you're going through all the steps. So here are the guards now, here they're serving him his last meal. Here's the psychiatrist coming to him saying, "Hey, you need something to take the edge off." People are polite. They're not mean in the death house. And here we are ratcheting through the steps. Okay, he's had his last meal now. Now we're moving toward the execution. Then here come the guards. They practice for this moment. I didn't give much thought to what happens to the people who have to participate in all the executions. But you have a warden in this state, Ron Andrews, or Mac Andrews, who was warden for 2 years and he had to participate in executions. He goes and he gives public talks saying, "I thought my job was going to be an honorable one. I was going to run a good prison." Then I had to be there when we strapped a person down. So it has collateral damage to human beings all along. But then to walk with this human being who is as alive as you are, and then to walk with him, then you go through this door, then they bring me over to the witnesses, and then you see him strapping him in, his arms, his torso, his whole body. Then the guards do their work, get out, the warden nods his head. They either turn on the juice, the electricity, or lethally inject the person. And then he dies. And then justice is done, and you walk away, and you just go, what? And you're horrified, that stretching on both sides. It's such a horrible crime. Look at the poor victims. Look how they're suffering. And then another mother is going to bury her child. And so we've had our justice. My job has been, once I witnessed that and got involved in that whole struggle, is to get to the people, to just say, look, let's deal with our outrage over crime, with innocent people dying, but what shall we do now as a society? This is about us. What shall we do?
What kind of response are you getting these days? What are people telling you?
Well, we can see it also from the polls and all, but my experience with audiences, see, I don't take anything for granted, including the journey I made myself, see, because I didn't know anything. So you got, the starting point is that rage. The starting point is, here's an innocent person killed. And to stand there with people and feel the outrage with them over that. You can't, in the beginning I would try to gloss over that quickly to get to the human rights and what kind of society are we and all that. To feel that outrage and then to go on the journey from the point of view of the victim's family going through the journey, what could heal them, what could possibly do, but then also with the person being executed, with his mother or her, because we execute women too, brothers and sisters. What's that family going through? You know, like Mrs. Saunier, Pat Saunier's mother, she lived in this little town of St. Martville. She would find dead cats thrown on her front porch. She'd have people screaming at her when she would go to the grocery store. Mother of the murderer, mother of the murderer, we can't wait till your son's executed. It kind of evokes that in the town, because once you have at a state level, at a government level, where we have said it is okay for us legally to kill some people, they're that terrible. How are you going to tell the people not to be angry at the mother? How are you going to control that?
Yeah. Let me ask you a question. This is a little bit off of, I guess I'm asking you this, and I want your opinion as a religious scholar. So many people, or I should say many people perhaps believe in abortion but are against the death penalty. Some people are for the death penalty but against abortion. How do you reconcile all of that?
Let me tell you, that is precisely the conversation I had with Pope John Paul. Because I said, look how many Catholics, and who's for abortion? I'm against abortion. The killing of unborn children or snuffing out their life when they barely, you know, that's not a morally right act. That's wrong. Of course that's wrong. Now how we deal with it, how we help people to make a choice for life, the women who are carrying the children. But what I kept discovering was people go, oh, I'm against abortion, but I'm for the death penalty. And guess the line in the sand, the distinguishing difference is innocent life, guilty life. And so I said to Pope John Paul when I had a chance to dialogue with him, I said, does the Catholic Church only uphold the dignity of innocent life? I get it about the pro-life issues. But when I'm walking with a man to execution and he's shackled hand and foot, he's rendered completely defenseless, he's guilty of a terrible crime, but he's going to be strapped down and he's going to be killed. And he says to me, while we're walking, sister, please pray God holds up my legs. Where's the dignity in this death? And Pope John Paul II dealt with it when he was in St. Louis. For the first time, he put the death penalty in with the other pro-life issues. So this has been a learning curve for Catholics who say we believe in the dignity of all life. Innocent life, yes, but what about the guilty? And then when you get to the gospel of Jesus, all of the gospel, the good news is about loving not only, you know, those who love us, but our enemies, those who do us harm, not to do harm to them. That's the crux. So not just the innocent, but the guilty. At least not to take their life. At least not to do to them what they did. That's the crux of it. That's the crunch. And we have seen now over the last 10 or 15 years since we've been educating Catholics on this, there's a move over now to the side of being against the death penalty for the same reason that it's against the dignity of human life, that everyone is a child of God, guilty as well as innocent. Now, it doesn't mean you're going to let them out of prison. You got to protect society. But don't repeat the killing. Don't imitate them and kill them.
I have about 3 minutes left. What do you hope to accomplish in the coming years?
I'm just steadily working the path that I've been on. And it's to keep getting out there on the road. I've been to all 50 states. I've been to I don't know how many countries. But see, I'm a Southerner, right? I'm a Louisiana girl. I'm a storyteller. I'm not just a lecturer. But I weave in things, facts I know that people don't know. I'm going to keep doing that just to keep waking up the people, because it's a deep human rights issue in our society that we would kill our own citizens. And I'm writing a book right now called River of Fire. It's a prequel to Dead Man Walking, and it's the spiritual journey that led me to death row. So I'll be sharing the spiritual journey, the understanding of the gospel of Jesus and Christianity. There's so many polite ways we can live Christianity. And yeah, we can be all for executions or yeah, we ought to torture people to get information. You know, the growth in human rights is really close to the dignity of human beings, being children of God. Those are close themes. So I see the two really coming together in my mission, my task, is to share with people what I learned.
I'm kind of curious here, and I'm very, very short on time, but of all the things that have come out of the book, the opera, the movie, what's your favorite?
I like them each for different reasons. I like the book because when you read a book, you're quiet and you use your imagination. It can do a profound change. I like the movie because it's visual and it takes you there. And I like the opera because it's the fullness of art. Live drama with music to instruct your heart. So I like them for different reasons. But I would call the opera the fullest expression of art.
And you think they do that does the best job of the
well,
story?
You see, now you keep putting these categories on me, the best. It does the best in its way, but I'm going to call it the fullest. The fullest, all right? Okay.
Looking forward to your new book. If people want to follow you, they can check out your website, right?
Yes, correct.
Absolutely wonderful. Fascinating conversation.
Yes,
I wish
thank
we
you,
had
Jeff.
more
It was
time.
great.
Thank you so much. I wish
Good.
we
I
had a lot
enjoyed
more
talking
time.
to you.
I do want to say, too, a very special thanks to the Pensacola Opera. They are responsible for bringing you into town here, and we greatly appreciate all of their help and service. Pensacola Opera, big city opera with small town charm. I like that. So anyway, when will the new book be out?
Well, the manuscript, they've given me like 8 extensions. It's due September 30th, so I'm working to finish it. So I would guess the spring of 18.
18. Do you like to write? Enjoy it?
Yeah, writing's hard though, yeah.
I know it's hard, yeah.
No, it's hard, but yes, I do. It's something about, because you start with all this chaos, there's so many things.
Right.
And then the words, and man, then when you get the right words, and you go, yeah.
It's magic. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Sister Helen. By the way, you can continue to follow her and keep up with what she has going on at her website, which is sisterhelen.org. By the way, you can see more of our conversations online at wsre.org/conversations, also on YouTube and Facebook. I'm Jeff Weeks. Thank you so very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed the broadcast. Take wonderful care of yourself, and we'll see you soon.
Support for this program is provided in part by Gulf Power, a Southern company, and by viewers like you. Thank you.